For more on President Biden's re-election struggles, let's bring in Michigan Congressman John James. Great to see you, Congressman. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
I want to start with an extraordinary poll that was released today, a Gallup poll, pretty well considered, about minority, the base of the Democratic Party. Blue-collar workers, blacks and Hispanics are really turning to Republicans much more frequently now than they ever have before. The headline of this Gallup poll piece is "Democrats Lose Ground with Black and Hispanic Adults." It's an extraordinary, you look at the chart, it may not seem that dramatic, but it really is. This is much worse than it's ever been for the Democratic Party before. Why is it that blacks and Hispanics in greater numbers now are leaving the Democratic Party and choosing Republicans?
Well, the reason is simple. It's because bad policies for blacks, Hispanics, are bad policy for all Americans. And this administration is replete with terrible policies. Policies that send our jobs from the United States to Mexico and China. Policies that take power away from parents to make the decisions about their own children. Policies that pit Americans against each other rather than bringing us together. I believe that these are just manifestations they begin to care about because, frankly, Democrats know that they will not experience success at the polls if they do not have young voters, black voters, and Hispanics. Since the last election, Joe Biden has hemorrhaged 24 points from African-American voters down to 63%. 1 in 5 of those black voters say they're going to be voting for a third-party candidate. And Trump is leading by 4 and 5 points amongst youth voters, voters below 35 years old, and also Hispanic voters respectively. They have a long way to go, but we are providing alternatives, good, strong policies that will make our economy stronger, our borders stronger, and our world safer place.
You know, we got confirmation of the economic point you were making from an unusual source, from MSNBC, which is not known to dump on Democrats by any stretch. They went into a barbershop, it was in South Carolina, and got an interesting viewpoint with regard to President Biden and President Trump on their effects on the economic part of their lives. Let me just roll that and get your take on it. Roll tape.
Trump is kind of all we know, and they're kind of Trump and Biden. They're like, well, we were broke with Biden. We weren't with Trump. And that's kind of the only thing that I'm hearing over and over again, is that, well, Trump, we had money.
We're broke with Biden. We weren't with Trump. I mean, is it that simple?
It's that simple. It's the economy, stupid, right? We've heard it a million times.
Right.
Look, Trump got 6% of the vote in 2016 amongst African Americans. Got 12% of the vote in 2020 amongst African Americans, and right now he's polling into the high teens and low 20s because Democrats are in denial. They're calling it disinformation. Well, it's disrespectful. The truth is not what the government tells you it is.
Yes.
And what I've been saying up and down, that good policy positively affects us all, but it has a disproportionate positive effect on African Americans because we always have pain that it seems to be more acute and more chronic than everyone else. We need to have a good, strong, conservative policy that will make sure that rising tide lifts all ships, and that means putting more money into all Americans' pockets.
You know, there is one aspect. It is related to the economy, but it's different from that in a sense, which is the migrant problem, the migrant crisis, if you will. A lot of problems in black communities and Hispanic communities where it seems that the government is kind of more and more, whether it's federal government or local government, kind of dumping the problem in the laps of minority communities. You see a lot of protests from communities in Chicago. We had a lot of protests in Roxbury and outside of Boston recently saying it's our community centers, not the wealthy white people in Wellesley, that are getting hit hardest by this crisis. That must have a part to do with it as well, no?
Look, there are immigrants who've come here the right way, waited 5, 10, 15 years to immigrate here the right way. And there's a deep sense of resentment in those immigrant communities like mine,
Yes.
in the 10th Congressional District. And there's a deep resentment amongst African Americans of people who've built this nation for free over the 400 years. And now you have illegal immigrants getting compensation in excess of SNAP benefits,
Right.
In excess of people who are working hard and still falling behind. No, this administration's policies along illegal immigration administration must be reversed, which is why we must pass H.R. 2, and which is why we need to create policies that help everyone, regardless of race, color, or creed, to achieve the American dream.
Well, and the Hispanic community reaction is tremendous because it's actually just the opposite of what a lot of Democrats who were pushing for open borders expected. I have an immigrant wife who came here, worked hard to first get a green card, then worked even harder to become a U.S. citizen, as did her son, my stepson. And there's a lot of resentment towards people who are jumping the line, millions of migrants who are jumping the line thanks to Biden's open border position.
You know, we are a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws. And let me get this straight. Like, legal immigration is an economic and moral imperative for the United States of America. People like your wife who are doing it the right way. But border security is national security, and we have to make sure that we enforce our borders to keep our nation safe. And we have all the opportunity to do that, and I believe that when we have that, then everybody is going to be more satisfied because we'll have order in the government. Right now, the cartels control our border. There is no order, and we need to retain that order. And we need to make sure that we show people who've been here, who've been working, doing it the right way, have a pathway to achieving the American dream.
There's another constituency, and this is a final question that is very ticked off at what's happening. That's the union members who Democrats used to count on, and yet the union leadership takes kind of a different position. We had on the air a couple of days ago Sean Fain. He's the head of the UAW, the United Auto Workers Union. And a lot of what Biden is doing with his EV, pushing the EV mandates, et cetera, is against the interest of auto workers. Here's what Sean Fain had to say about that the other day on Fox. Roll tape.
Let me be clear about this. A great majority of our members will not vote for President Biden. Yes, some will. But that's the reality of this.
So I'm just wondering, why are these leaders? The same is true with the Teamsters, by the way. The Teamsters leader, Sean O'Brien, says that he favors the open border policy of the president, and yet his members are worried about all these illegal truckers coming across the border. So there's this divide between the leadership, which is sided with the Democratic Party, and the members who are more for Trump now.
Yeah, legal immigration is an economic imperative, as I said, but illegal immigration actually threatens the livelihoods of union workers, and they know that. When you take a look at the rights that are being infringed by this administration, union workers know that. We just had a piece looking at the EPA final rule that's actually going to contribute to hurting the automotive industry. I represent the 10th Congressional District in Michigan, the #1 manufacturing district in the entire nation, and automotive is what we do. Aerospace and defense is what we do, and we've seen our jobs leave our state and leave our country, and that must end. Yeah. What additional penalties from the federal government are going to do from NHTSA and EPA is going to push our jobs to China. It's going to grow China's middle class on the backs of ours, and we cannot allow that to happen. Joe Biden's policies are crushing the middle class, crushing American auto workers, and I'm not going to let that happen.
Congressman John James, what a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much for being here.